All right, we are rolling. All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Miles from Qualified. And look, like I told you, I have a special guest on today, my first guest, and my man Brandon. So
What's going
it's
on,
funny.
everybody?
Yeah, there you go. So it's funny because I'm going to get into a little bit about your story, learn a little bit about you, but
Yeah.
it's not even just for the audience to learn a little bit about you. It's actually for me. Like you and I, we don't really know each other that
I
well.
know, man. Like we just hooked up on Facebook one day
That's
and
it.
sharing.
Do you remember how?
And I don't even remember how. All I
I,
know is I
I
like
remember how.
something on yours and you like something on mine. And
Yeah.
it may have to, I have no idea. I can't remember. You
I'm
tell
going to
me
tell you.
how. Tell me how. Tell me how. I'm ready to
I'm going
hear
to
it.
tell you. So
Spill the
it's pretty
beans.
wild. And it's just,
Okay.
it's crazy to see how God works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
this was, man, this has got to be maybe up to maybe 2 years ago. I don't know. It's been a while since we've been friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
Year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because we were actually in like a Christian meme group on Facebook, not the one that you created, because you created one, right?
Well, there's a story behind that, but go
All
ahead,
right.
go ahead, go
I'll
ahead.
let you get to that.
Yeah,
So
go
we
ahead.
like I just kind of jumped on this Facebook group with Christian memes and was enjoying the entertainment throughout the day. And
Yeah.
you had posted one on there, and
Mhm.
then you also posted something like a link to one of your music, like your YouTube channel, right? And
Mhm.
you had a new song out or something.
Mhm.
So I jumped on that. I listened to it. I thought it was fire. I decided like I'm gonna reach out to him,
I
just let him know.
appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
let him know. And so I reached out to you on Facebook, and I told you, and then we just became friends on
Mhm.
there. Acquaintances, really didn't even know you.
Yep. Yep.
And then I shared that with a couple other people, and then I just kind of like every now and then you would pop up, on my feed, different things. And then I think at one point, actually, I don't think I know. I tried to recruit you like 2 times into my network marketing business, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So my
Man, that
wife
was
and
a
I were
busy
pretty heavy
season for
into
me, man. Working all the time. That was a huge busy season for me, man.
yeah. We were pretty heavy in network marketing, and I'm like, man, I'd love to have this guy on our team. I'll show him what it's all about, see what happens. It didn't work out, but that's all right,
It's
And
all good. God had a better plan and better purpose. See, we
that's
here
right.
now. Yep.
That's right. Yeah,
Yep.
and it led us all to this point. And
Mhm.
really, what people don't know, and I'll tell them, is that the intro music
Mhm.
or the song, the mix that brings in this podcast, this tube cast, whatever it is, because I got
Yeah.
YouTube podcast, and then tapes it out. You mixed that for me. Like
I
I just
mixed that
reached
for
out
you.
one day, and
Yes.
I thought, as I'm
Yeah.
putting this together, I don't know what it was. I'm like, I'm just going to reach out to him to see if he'll do this for
It's
me. I don't even know
crazy
him. He
because
doesn't know me.
it's crazy how God works, because I was already in here in the studio. You reached out to me. I was like, okay, well, I hope he finds something. Then God spoke to me and was like, no, you need to do something. You need to do something. I'm making it available for you to serve another Christian brother. So I was like, okay, God, I'll be obedient. I was like, hey, okay, give me 20 minutes. And it's crazy because I already had a beat that I never used. I made it, mixed it down and everything, but I just never used it. And God was like, that one right there. And I was like, oh, I don't want to give
It's
that one
it's
away.
nice too. It's
Was
real nice.
God was like, no, you need to give him this one. I was like, okay, God, cool. Did what I did and sent it to you, man. I just want to be, I just want to just live a life of obedience, man. So that, hey, it just, God did that, man. So I give glory and praise to him for being able to use me as a vessel to be able to help you, man. So I'm glad that it helped, man.
Man, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that, because it is like every time I just hear that, it just seems like it fits so well,
Mhm.
and I love it. So thank you for that.
No problem,
So
man. Anytime,
it's weird
anytime.
how we get called together over a period of time, a year,
Yep.
year and a half, 2 years, just to lead up to this moment where we're actually meeting for the first time, kind of face
Mhm.
to face,
Mhm.
and talking it out as brothers in Christ. I
Yeah,
love it.
man. That's amazing, man. It's
So
amazing.
why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? You guys live in what, Georgia, right?
We live in Georgia. We live in Jefferson, Georgia, which is like, well, I'm from Gainesville, Georgia, but right now I live in Jefferson, Georgia. Been in Jefferson, Georgia for about 12 years. My wife is from Jefferson, Georgia. If nobody really knows, where Jefferson, Georgia is. Man, we 15 minutes from Athens. But
Okay.
see, I'm an Alabama fan. So, on Saturdays, the main road that goes to Athens is packed. But I'm always wearing my Alabama gear. And
Mm,
but yeah, man, I'm from Gainesville, Georgia, which is 15 minutes the opposite way. Just 45 minutes north of Atlanta. So
okay.
I'm from Gainesville and grew up in a dysfunctional home. Growing up, was very religious. It was more traditional, not
Hmm.
really having a foundation in Christ and being taught how to walk that out. My mom, she served in the military for 4 years, and I had to stay with my grandparents growing up. My dad was not really in my life like that. He was in and out, a lot in my life, and that kind of shaped. I thought that had shaped my identity, but God, later down the years, as I became a teenager, God just really wrecked, my mindset and just, changed the trajectory of the whole scenario because I been through a lot of things in my life. Growing up around grandparents, they real old school. They old school. They just work the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
They give you all the candy that you want.
Right.
You can go to bed without brushing your teeth. I mean, just grandparents sometimes spoil you to the point to where it's not good for you at all. It's not. So going swimming every summer, staying, going in when the pool opens at 1, leaving at 8 o'clock at night, being
Hmm.
just crispy burnt. I mean,
Yep.
just it was just crazy, man. But see, my grandparents wasn't really the Christian faith people. They went to church, but they didn't have an identity in Christ. And so, you know, when I was 5 years old, there a family member for 4 years, sexually, um, molested me,
Mm,
and that really hurt me. That really hurt me, and it kind of grew with me throughout school and high school, middle school and high school. Kind of, put some anxiety and depression. Didn't know who to talk to. Kind of affected my schoolwork, but when I got to high school, I was struggling a lot. Could have been great at sports and everything like that. But, I thank God that, I had to go through what I had to go through, because, I didn't graduate high school because I got to 12th grade and I decided that when I was 18, um, let me back up a little bit. My mom met my stepdad when I was 7. And so my stepdad, if you see this, I'm saying this now. If he sees this, I love you, and we've already made it amends. But you know, when my mom met my stepdad, was an alcoholic, and
mm,
on doing different stuff, man. And I've already been hurt, sexually by a family member, and then my dad, my real dad, not being there, and then my mom getting there, getting with my stepdad. It was just it was a lot going on in my
yeah.
household, and so when I got 18, it got out of control, and the household was crazy. But my mom did have my little brother when I was 11, and being 11 years apart from my younger brother, man, it's almost like my son almost, because
Hmm.
when I was 16, he was riding the bus with me going to the elementary school. So he's 23 now. He done moved to LA. He want to be a famous YouTuber.
All
I
right.
told I told him, hey, you don't have no wife, no kids, go pursue your dreams. But
Hmm.
when I was 18, um, got into an altercation with my stepdad, and instead of being, I didn't have no foundation in Christ, didn't really have a relationship with him like that. So I wanted to take matters into my own hands, thinking that I was grown, and so I ended up, running away from home, moved to Alabama with $50 in my pocket at the age of 18, and
Man.
just trying to search this, trying to find my place in this thing called life. And I got out there. I had it in my mind that, you know, I'm going to get my GED, go to college, make something of myself, and just break some generational curses.
Yeah.
And so, but I didn't have Christ at the time. It's crazy. So crazy how God works. Because the minute I get to Alabama, I meet a female, started dating for maybe 3 months, and I got her pregnant. Out of state. And, you know, I'm just sharing this because I know somebody out there, you know, thinking, you know, maybe my story can help somebody. So
Absolutely.
I'm trying to make it quick, but
No, man, you're good. You're good.
but
I mean, and I appreciate the vulnerable
oh yeah,
story
man,
and the
because
but it tells the story, but it tells how God, you know, uses different things in our lives, and He has this path for us that we don't
yeah,
realize at the time, and that plan is so much bigger than what we can
oh man,
comprehend. And it just
man,
kind of,
so
but go ahead.
it's so wild, man, because when that happened, I was like, man, you know, what am I doing with my life? You know, I haven't had things figured out, you know, just moved here. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get me a job. Because when I got there, I didn't have a job. I was looking for a job and got her pregnant, trying to find a job. And crazy thing about this is I get a job at Panera Bread. Shout out to my man, Mike Holland, man. I'm gonna send this to him
All right.
because
Yeah.
Mike was he was a pastor in Alabama. I think he moved now, but I still have him on Facebook still to this day. I would come to work every day at the age of 19. My girlfriend's pregnant. You know, my grandfather back home is in the hospital. I'm just going through life, you know, trying to cope with all these different situations and circumstances. But man, my boss, the store manager at Panera Bread, every day I would come in, he would just say something about Jesus, like. And at first, I was like, man, I don't want to know about that, man. Like, I'm trying to get me a paycheck, and you know, I'm in this situation, and I started sharing with him how I got to Alabama because we sat down and talked about, you know, that I'm not from Alabama. That's how the conversation started. One night, he was like, "Come in my office." And, man, I can tell you, man, he pulled out his Bible at the end of the shift. He pulled out his Bible and just was like sharing the gospel with me, man. And I got saved right there in the office.
And Panera Bread.
In Panera Bread in
That's
2007,
amazing.
man.
That's amazing.
And from there, man, like God kind of like shifted everything in my plans. And you know, my girlfriend had my son when I was 20, and so you know, I'm getting plugged in my church in Alabama, still out of state. I'm But what really led me, well, I guess you're gonna ask me what led me to the music, but
Yeah, yeah.
so
You're going right down through all my questions. I don't even have to ask a question. You're just covering it all, right?
yeah, man. So I just started. I'm just gonna say I started serving in my church, and you know, going to men's Bible studies, just growing in the Word. He actually gave me a Bible, a study Bible. Man, I was just getting into the Word and just growing, you know, as a new believer. Then in 2008, when economy hit, lost my job, and so when I lost my job, God told me, you need to go back home. I have a plan and I have a purpose for you. And so I moved my girlfriend down here at the time to Georgia. Would stay with my grandma's sister. She's like another mom to me as well. So, and then we get here in 2009. We get here at the beginning of 2009. She stayed for maybe 1 or 2 months. And while I was at work, she took my son back to Alabama. And at that point, I was like, God, you know, I done gave my life to you. I done did this. I done did that. And this is what I don't know. I don't understand it. And, you know, still to this day, you know, my son's mom, she she's married. She has 2 other kids with my son. I call and I text my son every day, FaceTime him every night, get all summer, Thanksgiving and Christmas, because, you know, I didn't want my mistakes to define me. I didn't
Yeah.
want, because I know what it's like having a dad that lives 3 blocks down the road from you and not even speak a word to you.
Yeah.
Not
Might
even
as well live 1,000 miles away, right?
right.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the 6 months later, I meet my wife. She's in the other room in there watching my baby boy. I don't know what they're watching, but he has it on something. I don't know, something on YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah.
He has like his tablet. He's figured out how to sync the TV with the tablet.
How old is he?
He's 8.
All right.
So I meet my wife 6 months later, and it's just been great ever since. And I'm gonna share more, but that's just kind of like my backstory.
No, that's good, man. I'll tell you the first question. I'm gonna move this light. I'm like burning my eyes out.
You
with
good.
This. Here, hold on. Let me just see if this is any better, because, whoo, that was like hitting me hard there.
It's my fault because I'm taking over all this time.
No, like, this is your time. You're my guest.
I know, but I feel like, man, it started off as a question. Then it's like when somebody asked me about my story, I feel like my story should be in a book, which I have it on my vision board, and I'm praying about
powerful.
that. But yeah, man. So,
and a lot of people live that too, but they don't want to come out and talk about it, or they're afraid, or they don't know Jesus, so they don't know how to escape it, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's funny. My first question was going to be, did you grow up in a Christian home, or did faith come to you later in life? I think you answered that. Right? For me, for me, I didn't grow up in a Christian home at all. Like I always felt that there was a level of faith or belief of some kind within my parents, but we didn't go to church. We didn't pray. I don't even think we went to church on like holidays when most people go to church, right? Easter and Christmas Eve or whatever.
Yep.
So that foundation was not there. But I always kind of felt something, that I wanted to. There was points in my life I can look back and I can feel like there was something there within me,
right?
But I never pursued anything. I didn't go to church. I kind of just did my own thing. I was just, whatever, living my life. And it wasn't until I met my wife. Now we've been married. I'm not going to get this wrong because I know when we were married, but I got to do math. So I think we're at 13 years.
She's gonna go back and watch this. So you better get it.
No, I got it. May 8th, 2011. So what is that? Like,
there you go.
We're like going on 13 years or something. And it's all a blur after a while. We've been together for a while now.
So y'all got married in 2009?
2011.
11. Okay.
Yeah. So, but it was it wasn't until I met her, because her parents have great faith, and we went. We started going to their church, and this was the first time I've been in church in a long time. Yeah. And then I got saved in their church during a revival meeting. Evangelist came in, and it's just something hit me in that moment. But I'll tell you, even then, because this was going back probably before we were married, and a lot of people, this is something I think about a lot. A lot of people know the exact date that they got saved. I don't know if I can pinpoint that, because I knew when it was in July. I know the month because I know when the revival happened. But all I can tell you was something changed for me that day, but not in a way, not a drastic way, because it still took time for that to build up. It wasn't until recently where I really started to feel the presence of the Lord, where I really started to feel a new direction, where all the things that I used to like of the world, I no longer like. You know what I mean? Like,
and sometimes, that process of sanctification.
Yeah.
Sometimes you may not even feel the presence of God, but the whole time the presence of God was upon your life.
Yep.
And it probably took a couple of years, but now you at this season where you can sense the Holy Spirit presence. That's great, man. That's great.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it happened, and I'll tell this story because a lot of people know it. It's not like I'm telling a secret or anything. My wife, she went through a really bad battle with Lyme disease. We were
Mm.
at this was man, what are we 3 or 4 years removed from this now? But we were at a Matthew West concert.
Mhm.
All right,
I love
at a
Matthew
fair.
West. I
Me
love him.
too, man. He's my
I
favorite.
love
And
him.
actually, that concert, my son held up a sign. My first Matthew West concert. Matthew called him up
Now,
on stage.
now he does have the song called Emotions, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, I love that song. I
Me
love it.
too. Yep. So he got my son up on stage. Now my son at the time was terrified. So I went up there with him and he's like burying his head in my shoulder. But we're on stage with Matthew West. Like we're having a great night.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning, my wife could not get off our bedroom floor. Like she couldn't
Wow.
move. She was to the point where she was so fatigued. I carried her to the car. I drove her
Yeah.
to the hospital. Halfway there, I had to call an ambulance to meet us.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't go into all the details, but I'll say is
Mm-hmm.
it went on for months. And initially, the first few weeks, it was like I didn't know if I was ever going to have my wife the same way again. Like at one point, I
Wow.
was afraid of losing her. At another point, I was afraid
Wow.
she was never going to be the same. And then fast forward, she's more healthy now than ever.
Praise
She's
God.
helped so many people because of what she went through. She's at a
Praise God.
whole new stage of her life. And you look back and you just see that that was God's work. Like he's
Yeah.
using these moments that are in the moment that you're living it feel tragic or overwhelming, but then you realize that that was leading you to a whole other space where you're stronger, you're better, you're more full of faith in life, and you're helping people, and you're in a better place. And I think it was in those moments where I started to really see God working in our
In
life.
in the
And
valley. In the valley, man.
that's right.
In the valley, that's when God, stretches our faith. He strengthens our character.
Mm-hmm.
And we sometimes question if he's there or not. And
Right.
sometimes God will be quiet while you're in the valley. He just needs you to keep plowing and
That's
plowing and
right.
keep reading your word and keep praying. And to us, it seems like, man, God is not speaking to me. He's not coming through.
Mm-hmm.
But he always comes through right on time, and even though we in the
That verse,
sometimes,
I can do all things in
yeah,
Christ. It talks about that before that verse. It talks about being in the
mhm,
highs and the lows,
right.
knowing what it's like to be full and be hungry and be at the top and be at the bottom. So in
Mhm.
all things, you're content because you know that no matter the valley that you're in, God's there and He's going to lead you through it. So and I'm learning that more and more now
Yeah.
than ever. And I think that that's what really has been pressed on me. So yeah, I didn't grow up in a Christian home, and faith, I found Jesus later in life. But that was all part of the plan, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's all part of
so
the
yeah,
plan, man.
why don't you tell me a little bit about your music? Like how'd you get involved? Was it always Christian music, or was it
um,
secular at first? I mean, how did you get into the music scene yourself?
well, I have two older cousins on my dad's side of the family. My biological dad's side of the family. I have two older cousins that they do music, do DJ events, and produce beats and stuff like that. So at a young age, um, they were like my role models.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was about music, but I would go everywhere with them whenever they do events and stuff like that. And so like they did like this when I was 11 years old, they did like this compilation album with like all local artists, from Gainesville. And they actually put me on a song. And I mean, at the time, I'm looking back like, what was they thinking? But it the song wasn't clean, and I didn't know what I was saying at the time. Being 11 years old, I'm thinking I'm just saying words. Now that I'm
Right.
mature in Christ, I'm looking back like, man, okay. But that that stirred up something in me, and so got in middle school, and me and my best friend at the time, his name is Corey Mac Dog, Corey Mac. I haven't seen him in years. Like I haven't seen him since high school, but we started writing poems. Like it's funny because we started writing poems in
Mm-hmm.
class, and and just sliding it to young girls in the classroom instead of learning. And we would challenge each other. We would challenge each other who can write the best poem. And so I did that for a while, writing poems and stuff. But then when I got to high school, started playing sports and stuff. One of my other, good friends at the time, you know, I was in the middle of writing a poem before a game. Just sitting there writing one, on the
Yeah.
on the bus on the way to on an away game. And he looked over and he was like, "Dude, you should put this in a song." And I was like, "Nah." So I convinced my mom to get me a little keyboard and a computer. And this is back when MySpace was popping back then.
Yeah, MySpace. Oh
Man,
Going back.
that was a crazy era right there. But I started, making my own little beats and trying to put my poems into a song. And now at the time they were secular because that's all I knew at the time.
Yeah.
But when I went in my season when I was in Alabama, and after I got saved and born again, it was like one day I was just trying to figure out, like, this can't be the only type of music that's available out there. So I turned on my computer on MySpace and in Google search. All I did was I typed in Christian rap. I never heard Christian rap, never heard of it. I was just curious to see if
Yeah.
there's really Christian rap
If it
out
even
there,
existed, right?
if it even existed.
Yeah.
The first song that popped up, and I don't think YouTube was out I'm not sure, but yeah, YouTube was out, just came out. And the first song that came up was Lecrae. And
Oh
it was
yeah.
riding with my top down, listening to some Jesus music. And I was like, dude, I was so stunned when I heard that, because I was like, okay, let me play that back. Okay, that was good. Let me play it. I played that song for about 6 weeks straight. And I was like, this dude really like speaking a good message, but the beat sounds like,
Yep.
like as if it was something that was on the radio. And I was like, man, like I want to do that. I have made it in my mind. I was like, I can do that. If I can do it to a secular song, I don't want to lead people away. I want to show people and help people of what God has done in my life. And so Lecrae, through the years, my early years of being in my Christian walk, has really taught me a lot of things. Like, man, if he was the only person I really listened to for a while, but yeah, I think I would say Lecrae was kind of like my go-to guy. Like, man, like,
Yeah.
okay, I can do that too. If God can do it for him, he can do it for me. And I started writing music, and I would take things that I learned from the Bible and the life experience and just started writing.
That's
Didn't
right.
really have a studio until last year, but God makes all
You
things
do what
work for the good.
you work
Yep,
with what you got, right?
yep.
So sticking real quick on the Christian rap, do you think that there's a negative view when it comes to Christian rap? Do you think it's viewed in a negative light?
I'm gonna say yes, and the
Why
reason
do you think
why.
that is?
And let me say why.
All right.
Not, and this is going towards um not the true authentic Christians. This is towards people using the name of Christian rap for their own agenda.
Mm,
Because I came across some Christian rap songs and on YouTube, and it's disappointing. Um, People will say it's a Christian rap song. You click on it, and they're not really mentioning Christ.
nah, they may say God once or something like that,
They
and all
say
of a sudden
God
it's
once.
yeah,
It may be some. It's different. Christian rap is different from motivational and inspirational rap.
hmm
And I'm not one of those people that are afraid to say, yes, I do Christian rap, because or Christian rap is just Christian is because to some people they say Christianity is just my lifestyle, but I'm just a rap artist. But I'm not afraid to say I'm a Christian rap artist because everything that I say and do, I make sure that it represents Christ, and I tell a story either about Christ or what Christ has done for me, and it always
Come on,
points
there you
to
go.
Christ.
Yep.
And if in my mind, I'm like, in my heart, I really feel like if it ain't pointing to Christ, it ain't Christian rap.
Yep.
Bottom line. And so I've came across Christian rap songs that had cussing in it.
I know. And I
And
think
I'm
that's
like,
where it gets it because you think when a lot of people think rap, you think of rap. Like like I said, I didn't go to church. I grew up in my whole throughout high school and everything. Like I was big into like Easy E and Bone Thugs and Harmony and
yeah, me
like
too, man.
the hard stuff, right? Like, and then
Tupac, Biggie, all of that.
exactly. And now I hear any of that and I'm just totally turned off by it. Like I don't
Yeah.
even want to hear it, right?
Mm-mm.
But I only say that to say that I think that that's where it comes in as people, they hear that word rap and they automatically put a negative thought. Obviously there's a lot of negativity there because of the typical lyrics.
Yeah.
But to like you said, you're pointing people to Christ. You're pointing
Yeah.
people to Jesus. You're like, for instance, I listen to your music. I listen to Temptation like a few
Thank you,
times,
man.
right? So it starts out with, you ain't got to give in. It has no power. Temptation got you thinking about it every single hour, right?
Yep.
Later on in it, it has no control. Don't be enticed with the fleshy soul. Without fearing, keep persevering. Put your faith in Christ and keep on
Keep
living.
on living, baby. Yep.
So all of that is pointing, like if you just slowed that down and put that in, to a regular song, the words are the same. It's just the beat that's behind it and the way
Right.
that it's presented. So, I think that that negativity comes from just,
The
a little bit
older,
of lack.
especially the older generation, like
Sure.
the older traditional,
Yeah.
hymn Bible thumping, hymn singing, revival people.
Yeah.
They look at rap as okay. They
gotta be careful. My in-laws are gonna watch this.
Right. I can't play this at Thanksgiving and Christmas. Not in my living room. No.
No. Yeah. No,
But
because there is a traditional there is that traditional presence, right, of people that
Right.
want that traditional and this is really far from traditional, but it's still pointing people to Jesus. And I think that anyone who is called to do that in whatever way they can, as long as they're staying firm in their faith,
Right.
and they're not living for the world and they're staying grounded in their faith and they're not, doing things in a way that is misrepresenting Christ. People have different talents for different reasons and they're given those talents, right? So, and you have one of them.
And so I say that it's negative because I think that whatever gift that God gives people, whatever purpose or whatever calling, doesn't matter what it is, even if it's like, for instance, that skateboard back there. If somebody wanted to go out to the skate park and minister to people, that could be something. But I just think that people that do what I do, do Christian rap, if you're gonna do Christian rap, you need to stay true to Christ. You need to stay true to the word of God and making sure that the music is pointing to Christ, because when you label something Christian rap, people are going to listen to your words more carefully than the actual, just secular song. Most of the time, secular songs have all kinds of crazy stuff in it, but
you don't even hear the words.
You don't hear the words. Well, you can't really hear the words now because of the babbling. But back in the day, you can hear what they're talking about. But a lot of people are so used to just listening to a song because it has a good beat. But the thing about it is, it takes 21. I was telling this to my youth group Wednesday night. It takes 21 days to perform a habit. if you listen to a secular song for 21 days, eventually you end up doing some of the things in that song.
Hmm.
But when you label something Christian rap, people are more likely to listen real carefully of what you're saying to see if you are really true Christian or not. And I don't think I think people need to understand that whatever you do, you need to do it in all in the sight of the Lord, not for people, you know. And people are making Christian rap songs for money,
Hmm.
for popularity, for fame. Um, they just want to, build. They are so focused on building the genre instead of building the kingdom, and that's the
That's
wrong
right. There you
mindset.
go. Oh,
And
I love that.
that's the wrong mindset
Yeah.
because what I'm doing, you know, it's just one of the gifts that God has given me to store up my riches in heaven, not on earth.
Mm.
Where dust and moth can destroy. That came from Jesus. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's right.
So I just try to be authentic. I try to be real. I try to be transparent. I try to, in my humbleness, God makes me strong every time I step up on this mic because I ask the Lord, what you want me to say? And I truly don't believe that every Christian rapper does that. But if you will sit back and just be humble before the Lord, God will tell you what to say because there's something about somebody's life that people connect to.
Hmm.
People want to know, how did you come to Christ dealing with this situation or that situation? I've heard Christian rap songs talk about, jewelry and ice on my chain. And I'm like, man, it's not about that. It's all about Christ, man. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yep.
So I think it's so important to stay true to your calling and the Great Commission.
That's right.
The Great
That's right. So how
Commission.
do you stay grounded in your faith instead of getting caught up in the world? How do you
Uh,
stay grounded when you're making music, you're doing things, and obviously every day we're surrounded by different people. So how do you stay grounded in your faith instead of getting caught up in the world?
I just, so important to, look at everybody else's life. It's important. It's so crazy because a lot of people out here, Christians and non-Christians, a lot of people out here are following each other instead of following Christ. I think Christ is the example we need to follow. Christ sat with sinners, but he did not sin with them.
That's
And
right.
people are like, well, if Jesus can hang out with these certain people, I can too. And Jesus did not sit with them people to let them know that their behavior was okay.
No, he
Jesus
said with them to change them.
to change them, to set
Yep.
them free. And
Right.
sometimes the way that we live, our lifestyle is the only way people can see Jesus. Because before people pick up a Bible, they're gonna notice how you act around them. They're gonna notice how you respond to
Hmm.
to their conversations, to their type of lifestyle. They notice that before, you know, you can quote a Bible verse to them, but that may not mean much. But how you
Right.
love them and how you let them know that you don't have to be your mistakes, and regardless if you uh, you know regardless if you smoke a cigarette in front of me, okay, cool, but let me tell you about my Jesus and how you can be free from that. You know what I mean? You don't have to live from that. You can be free from that. You know what I mean? And that just
Hmm.
kind of opens the door, of Jesus using you as a vessel. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think I think it's so important that when we go throughout life, that we don't be so focused on the problem. We need to be focused on the promise keeper. And God is always, like you said, be ready in season and out of season. You never know when God is going to use you.
Hmm.
You could be at the checkout line at Kroger, and a lady could be cussing the cashier out because she gave her wrong change back. That can be your opportunity to say, "Hey, let me pay for it," and that can be your way to minister to her. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Always look for those opportunities because they're around us, but we miss them. I know
we
I
miss
miss
them.
them.
I miss them sometimes too, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
But you're bold. I love how bold you are with just wanting to share Jesus with everyone.
everywhere.
and then live it too, and just
And
live it and be
live it
a
out.
great
I don't
representation.
care. I don't care if like this next Wednesday, youth pastor Corey. Hey Corey, I know you're gonna watch this. Come and send it to you, man. Shout out to Pastor Corey, man. I love you, man. But Pastor Corey, I love him. I love our senior pastor and Pastor Nick Dalton. I love him. And so they asked me to, well, Pastor Corey asked me, hey, next Wednesday, hey, would you mind speaking? Came out of nowhere. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And whether I'm speaking, rapping, loving on somebody, mentoring, discipling somebody, whatever God want me to do, I want to be available. You know what I mean? I want to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. You know what I mean? Because he is the head. He sees everything. He tells us where to go. He thinks for us, talks and walks for us. We just got to be able to just be able to just be humble enough to know that when he calls us, we got to respond. A lot of people love to react.
Yes.
A lot of people love to react,
Yep.
but they don't want to respond in action because of fear of rejection, fear of being picked on. But sometimes God is looking for that one person to say yes. Doesn't matter. Yes. There's a greater purpose in God's yes, and we have to respond to that. So yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to go backwards a little bit because you said there's a story.
You're good.
There's a story behind your Christian meme page on Facebook.
Oh man,
Tell me about it.
Okay.
By the way, I gotta ask you because my wife and I love it. It's so funny. It's like every time my news feed is filled with just humor and it puts a smile on your face. But I gotta ask, like, do you have those things scheduled to like hit every hour on the hour? Because there's like 20 a day.
I just, I pick a 30-minute time frame throughout the day and be like, look, I'm gonna bless somebody today with just a laugh and a smile because the Bible, the Bible talks about, in Ephesians chapter 4, and it talks about, be careful, with coarse joking. Like, but the Bible never says that you cannot joke around. The Bible never says that you cannot be joyful and laugh. It's just saying be careful not to, have bad character in doing that because you may lead somebody astray by doing that. And so every time I post a meme, I try to make sure that it's not going to steer somebody away from their relationship with God, or it doesn't, devalue from that person, looking at me in a different way. But at the end of the day, I love making people laugh. That's what I do. So I pick a 30-minute frame out the day and just like, you know what? I got 30 minutes. I'm going to make somebody laugh today because you never know what somebody going through, and it costs $0 to be kind in today's world, especially. So yeah. But back to your question.
Yeah.
I told you I talk a lot, man.
No, that's fine. That's good.
Told you.
I love
it. But back to your question. So the best Christian memes group that I was originally in. I'm still in it.
I think that's where I met you, in that one.
Yeah. And so for some reason, I'm not going to say that it was a jealousy issue. I'm not even going to say that, but what I'm going to say is I'm just going to speak truth and speak facts. That's all I'm going to do. For some reason, they stopped approving.
Is that right?
My memes. And I was like, man, did I do something wrong? Because I don't know what happened, but everyone that I repost, thousands and thousands and thousands will like it. And I'm like, man, like, it's just a meme. Like, I don't even care about the likes.
Yeah, it's not that serious.
Not that serious. And it got to a certain season to where I was getting more likes than anybody in the group. So they just stopped approving my stuff. So I was like, you know what? I told my wife, I was like, I'm gonna make my own page. You know
there
what I mean?
You go.
And so I made my own page, invited everybody. So, but I encourage everybody that's on there to invite other people so they can laugh too, because most of the people are already on my Facebook. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I
No, we
love.
love it. I love my wife and I get a kick out of it all the time. She just thinks it's so funny too. There's some good stuff on there, and it's all clean, good fun,
Yep,
just to give you a nice
yep,
laugh. You know,
yep, yep,
put a
yep.
smile on your face. You could
Got
be
to,
going through
man.
anything. You start scrolling through there, and you just can't help but smile, and it changes. It changes things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you never know, man. A small smile on somebody's face, putting a smile on somebody's face can change their whole day, man. So
Yeah.
that's my whole goal. That's my whole goal is to give people Jesus, make them laugh, and be a loving person. That's
Well,
all
you're
I want
doing
to
it,
be.
man. You're doing it, and you came through when I didn't even like. I was so shocked that I just kind of threw that out there, like, "Hey, can you mix something up for me?" And within a day, you had it done.
I was just
And you
like,
don't
man,
even know me. You know what I mean? Like that was
I was
incredible
just
to me.
ready. I was just ready to serve,
Yeah,
man. That's
yeah,
what I want to do, man. Serve anybody.
yeah, yeah. I love it.
Anybody,
So
man.
I'm gonna ask you one final quick question. What's your favorite Bible verse? I know there's a lot of them, but is there one that you just
Oh
hang on
man.
to? Because I got one that I
Favorite.
hang on to. I wear it on my wrist every day. I did a post about it not too long ago. The John 3:30.
I'm gonna say, nah, man. It's a lot of them. Um, Let me see, cause I have them so highlighted in my Bible, like everywhere. I have notes everywhere. I think, and I believe my favorite one is it's hard, man, because I got so many, man, that I just go to every day. Like it doesn't matter. I guess it depends on what I'm going through. You know
Exactly.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's true.
It
That is
depends on
true.
what, but
Because obviously you may have one that you would call your favorite, but so many verses just kind of hit you in that moment because God knows that you need it in that time.
but I was just reading this morning one of my favorite ones. It was just Romans 12:17, and it's repay no one evil for evil. Have a regard for good things in the sight of all men. And I think that it's important that, you know, everybody's always watching. Everybody's always you never know who you're gonna minister to in the way that you live.
Mhm.
But people gonna be people, and people need to understand that.
Yeah.
People gonna be people, ungodly people gonna be ungodly, and people, all everybody, we all have struggles. So there's always gonna be a time where somebody is gonna tick us off, gonna get us upset. But it's so important that the one I always think about this. God help me to see this. The one that had all authority to cast the first stone did it. In the midst of how everybody treated him, he never repaid evil for
Hmm.
evil.
Yep.
He chose love all the way up into the cross,
Yep.
all the way up to dying, even after death, even coming back for us. The same people that put him on the cross, he died for
Yeah.
them
And he
too.
asked he asked the Father for their forgiveness. Forgive them,
Oh
Father.
man.
They know not what they
Yes.
do. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
It's all
Right,
about
man.
love.
And so I try not to give people their own medicine. I give people the love of Christ.
There you
That's
go.
what it's all about, man. That's
I
what it's
love
all
it.
about. But
Well, man, that's it. That's all I had for you. I mean, this
that's all
time
you have for me.
we got to do
Hey,
this again.
next time I'm gonna share how I met my wife and everything. So
Okay, you want to share that? We got time.
okay, cool. In 2009, at the end of 2009, towards the end in July, me and in 2009 I met my wife, and it was a couple of months after I met, after my son's mom moved back to Alabama, and so I met my wife, but before I met my wife, it's crazy how God works. because I was going to the church of my wife's aunt and uncle's church at the time. And, they didn't hook us up. It was just a divine appointment. And I knew her aunt and uncle before I knew her. And so when I met her and we started, dating, or whatever, and it was crazy how it all worked out because I already knew her family, didn't even know it. But we ended up getting married 30 days after meeting each other. It was like I was 22, she was 26. It's crazy, man, because I didn't know how to be a father. I just lost the only child. I thought I lost the only child that I had, but God and his faithfulness, man, it's like me and my son are so tight and he lives out of state. It's so crazy. Like we FaceTime every night. I was like, you know, but she had a 6 and an 8-year-old when I met her. And God just really worked it out. And she was, oh man, it's crazy. Man, she has her whole own story. She was pregnant, had 2 kids. Her children's father was in prison, about to get out. And at the time, I wanted to be somebody that's gonna help her get back on her feet. But as time grew, it's like God was like, "You're gonna be her man," and I was like, "Man, no, I don't know about that." And God, God was like, "No, really, you are." And she ended up placing her son up for adoption. Went through that stage and went through that season, and went through her losing her mom in 2012. We was on a vacation. In 2012. Went to the beach and came back. Haven't heard from her. My wife had to find her mom dead after, 3 to 5 days, and that really hurt my wife for like 2 years, having nightmares and stuff like that. We had to go through that season, but then the next year we ended up having my son in 2013. He's such a blessing, man. He's autistic, but he's so brilliant. He's brilliant, and he's joyful, energetic, but he's joyful. Energetic, but he's joyful. And so now, in 2015, we hit a rust spell. We did. And this is the part I really wanted to share to people that's out there listening. I'm sorry for taking up your time, but I think this is
Just go, man. It's not a problem. That's all right.
I think this is going to help, couples out there. My wife chose, she chose a management position at her job, and I didn't want her to do it, but she did it, and it kind of put a strain on our marriage because she was a server. She was serving alcohol, and we hit a rough spell where we stopped reading our words, stopped going to church. We was trying to fix things on our own, and we ended up being separated for 3 years, and never got a divorce. She dated somebody else. I dated somebody else. And through all of that, we ended up getting hurt by those people. And we realized, man, ain't nothing out here in the world, but people hurting each other. And so when we got back together, we was like, hey, look, God has a plan and purpose for us, because the stuff that we went through, most couples don't come back from. And me and my wife, we've been back together almost 3 years now, going strong. We leading other couples to Christ.
That's amazing.
We serving in the church, we serving in the community. We just, we realize we're better together and we better connected. And now my stepdaughters, they 20 and 18 now, man. They done grown up. They still living at home, but I told them, y'all gonna have to wash a dish, a bowl, or something. You know how our parents used to be back in the day, man.
That's right.
But I thank God every single day. I thank Him for the gifts and the talents that He's placed upon me, not just the music, but the area of your life. I'm sure He's placed other gifts besides this podcast on your life,
Mm,
you know, and everything that we go through, and God lets me know this every single day. Everything that we go through is for a plan and a purpose. It is. And when the Bible talks about that God wouldn't put more on us than we can bear,
that's right.
you know, if we're going through something, that means that God allowed it to happen.
And
If
we
we
were told that it's going to happen,
It's
right?
going to happen.
And we need
If
to
we
find joy in those things,
Oh man, come on.
right?
If we expect, and it's crazy to think about this, but
Hmm.
it puts so much perspective in everything. Every time the enemy tempts us, because all everything starts with the thought. That's why we got to be transformed and renewed in our minds, because everything starts with a thought, a bad
Yep.
thought. Then it meditates, then it becomes an action, then it becomes a sin and give birth to sin. But everything starts with a thought. But we need to understand that every time we being tempted, Satan has to ask God for permission to tempt us. And God allows it because all it's going to do is strengthen our faith, strengthen our character, our self control, our perseverance. It's going to build us up to the image of who Christ is, and to our purpose, and to our walk and our calling. For
Hmm.
for us to be able to use that to bring others and make heaven crowded, man. So
Man,
yeah, man.
that's
Yeah,
powerful. I love it. No, thank you for sharing that. I'm glad you took the
no
time
problem,
to share
man.
that, because
No problem.
you're right. That's going to help a lot of people, because a lot of people go through those seasons and those times and the struggles in their relationships, and they don't come back from it, or
Yeah.
they they really take, maybe there is a separation there, or they're having some struggles, and maybe they don't have the foundation of Christ in their
Mhm.
life. But you know knowing that people can go through that and still come back stronger, and it's because of God, it's because of Jesus, it's because of
Mhm.
having that close relationship with him in your marriage. You're gonna go through struggles, you're gonna go through hard times, you're gonna have fights, you're gonna have disagreements, um, but that's part of it. As long as
Yeah.
we stand strong in our faith, and that we know that we
Yeah.
are, one in Christ.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. So you're going to help a lot of people with your story you shared in the beginning, with the story that
Mhm.
you shared with your wife. I
Mhm.
mean, you've been through a lot of stuff, man.
A
You've
lot of
been through
stuff,
it.
man. That's
You've
why
been
I
through it,
was
and
just
you are
sharing with.
stronger. I'll tell you, you are stronger in the faith than anyone else that I know personally. Like, I know
Yeah.
some really good Christians, but I look at you. I look at
I
what you
appreciate the
post
thank you,
online. I
man.
look at your music. Now I know more about you, and I just
Yeah.
see such a strong conviction in your heart,
Thank you.
to
Thank you,
follow
man.
Christ and to share that
Mhm.
with others.
These last 3 years truly have been the most foundational, um, obedient walk I've ever been with the Lord. And it's because sometimes you have to go through things to appreciate God's
Hmm.
grace.
Yep.
And we do it sometimes. We all do it. We take God's grace for granted. But when you go through things and come out on the other side, you see that God's hand was upon your life. So
Yep.
yeah, man. I appreciate you having me, man. Hey, well, like I
Hey,
said, anytime,
we're
man.
doing this
Anytime.
again. We will.
We
We're
got
coming
to.
back together.
We got
So
to. We
look,
got
tell
to.
people how they can find you too. How can they find your music? What's the
Okay.
best way? Now I'll post the
So
link and everything, and we can post that too. But how do they
okay.
find you?
You can look me up on all social media platforms. All you gotta do is type in Brandon Haley, BrandonHaley. It doesn't matter if it's Spotify,
Yep.
Apple, Pandora. It's on everywhere. So
Yep. Don't know how to find your name's right at the bottom of your screen there. If you look at mine, it says Tara. That says my wife's name. So don't try to find me. You're gonna find some very different type of posts, when it comes to,
yes,
if you look for
sir.
me under Tara Saxit. I'm using my wife's Zoom, but yeah, Brandon Haley, look him up, find him. You guys, you won't be disappointed. I mean, even if you just follow him on social media. I don't even know if you have room to accept more friends on Facebook. There's like a 5,000 cutoff. I think you might be up there. You have a lot of people on Facebook that,
Yeah, yeah, but there's some people that don't really interact in my
I'll tell
Facebook.
you
So
what, listen, once the 28 people that listen to this podcast hear this, you're gonna have 28 more followers, man.
Oh man, that's good. That's good, man. Because
Look out.
you know, on all of my social media platforms, I do post my I have a link tree, and my link tree has all my social media on it, all my music stuff on there. So I'll make sure that my link tree is in this podcast as well.
All right, cool, man. All right, that's it. That's all I got. You good?
I'm good, baby. I'm good.
I
I'm
loved
good.
it.
I'm good.
I loved it. Thank you so
I'm
much,
good.
man, for
No
joining
problem,
us.
man. Anytime.
And
Anytime.
and look, we're gonna do this again. And I appreciate your support. You were one of the first people to tell me that you enjoyed like what I was doing, but then also just kind of keeping me grounded to know if it just makes a difference in one person's life. That's what it's all about.
Making heaven crowded is the goal, man.
That's
So,
right.
Yep.
Let's do it.